It's worth, I think, reiterating again that on my prison boat alone, there was over 30 cases of fractured and broken ribs. There was over 10 cases of brutal sexual assault. And there was cases of beaten faces, broken noses. And what's most important, I think, is that every single one of us was treated to a detailed, efficient, systematic torture and abuse. It was evident from the very beginning that this was highly planned. It was not spontaneous. It was highly detailed. It was also deeply sickening because the entire experience felt sort of like a training for new torturers and a training for new guards and soldiers. And what disgusted me is that as I heard my friends being raped and tasered in the shipping container, not only was it hard to hear that, but I realized that what they were doing to us was sort of probably a practice for them of what they were going to do on Palestinians next week or something. And that was especially difficult in Ketziad. There was tons of Arabic graffiti. I found blood on the wall, and it was deeply unsettling to realize that what was being done to us was a sort of mild procedural training for the Israeli occupation to test out some techniques for young guards and soldiers that they would then use far more brutally next week on Palestinian prisoners and Palestinians in Gaza. So if I can end with a personal comment, I think the entire experience, though it was horrific, it did nothing more than confirm my belief that people are capable of astonishing courage and compassion under the worst circumstances. I was together most of the time with my friends, my comrades, and people who were complete strangers to me, but because of the situation, we were thrown together and we had to care for one another as much as we could. We had to huddle together in the cold on hard floor. We had to care for those who were sick and injured. And we laughed, we cried, and we were defiant. And so I'm completely astonished and inspired by all of the people I met in the flotilla who had to go through that experience. But more so, I'm inspired by the fact that I only received a fraction of the kind of treatment Palestinians have to go through, and I only experienced it for 4 days. And at the end of it, I'd been on hunger strike for 4 days. I hadn't slept for weeks. And for 4 days straight, I had been completely awake the entire time. And I realized, I said to myself, if I can't stand this anymore, if I can't stand the uncertainty, the beatings, the dragging, just imagine what it would mean to not be able to dream about going home, not be able to know that I'd be flying back to my home country, I'd be safe, I'd get to embrace my loved ones, never being able to look forward to that. Because for Palestinians imprisoned in those dungeons, this is their entire life. Even if they're quote-unquote freed from illegal detention, they'd be sent back to Gaza, which is nothing but an open-air prison, which is a description that even Israeli politicians have used. To live in Gaza is, I understand a fraction of what it feels like or must feel like, because for me, it felt like constantly, you never know whether in 5 minutes you'd still be alive or you'd still be standing, or whether I'd be on the ground, whether I'd be raped, tortured, beaten, or whether I'd be murdered. I had no idea from 1 minute to the next. And so to live like that every day of your life is, it's monstrous, it's horrible. But the word that the Global Sumud Flotilla chose as its title, Samud, means steadfastness, and it means collective courage. And so I can only imagine for Palestinians who have to live in Gaza, who fashion swings out of rubble, and who care for one another under the most extreme conditions and who try and still make each other laugh. And through all that, it's the most unbelievable Samud, the most unbelievable courage, because I know, having gone through those 4 days, it's unimaginable to me to think about those 4 days being extended to my entire life. And so I'm completely inspired through this experience by the Palestinians, most fundamentally.
In one of the prison boats, 35 people suffered fractures to their ribs. People said there was at least 12 sexual assaults that took place. People were tased.
When we got to Ashdod port, I was immediately grabbed by 5 IDF or police officers, Israeli police officers. They put my head down and started beating me. One of them had gloves on with hardened plastic, and he started punching my face and swelled shut.
Well, we've experienced a really dystopic kind of version of Israel here that you hear and read about in the news, but to actually experience it firsthand is a very different thing altogether. Like, we've been beaten, tortured, systematically, dehumanized, and, we've just had a little taste of what the Palestinians go through every day, some for years in detention.